Hi, I'm Rebecca Olson, CEO of the Maryland Association of CPAs. This year, we're thrilled to once again host the MACPA Foundation's Women to Watch Awards. We're excited to celebrate 30 amazing female leaders in our profession. And these awards not only recognize their success and contributions, but also inspire the next generation of leaders. Join me now for a brief interview with one of our incredible honorees, and we hope to see you in person on September 26th at our Women to Watch Awards breakfast.
So I am Denise Lumpkins, and I am down here in Southern Maryland. I'm a CPA who recently went through a transition in my career, and with that personal life altogether. I transitioned from being in public accounting for around 15 years to private industry. I'm currently a director of accounting at a government contracting company, and missing some of the client work, but loving what I have currently here. And kind of this transition really was somewhat personal for me because I was transitioning just to be more present for my kids and to make sure I had like that personal stop in there. Having three kids with a commute and the tax season hours that we all want to change but haven't been able to completely yet kind of made me make some decisions to lead me here.
Yeah, of course. Everybody's got a unique journey, balancing all of those things. In your journey, whether it is part of this transition or your career in public accounting before, what accomplishment would you say you're most proud of so far, of course, and why?
Say this one is more in that general side of things, is just kind of how far I've come in my career and overcoming things. And I'll bring up kind of a few examples of that is when I initially moved I switched firms after being with one firm for 10 years, and I moved into a practice manager role. And I would say it's a role that I was not qualified for and stepped into somewhat prematurely. And just me having the confidence to do that. And then when I did that, to have to admit, like, I don't know everything and I'm still learning. And then to be able to succeed with the team that way, instead of kind of coming in as that leader on top saying, I should know everything and kind of faking it till you make it. I laid it out there that, these are my strengths. This is what I still need support on. And so I think just that, and maybe it was one thing, but I think just making that step and being confident in kind of stepping into a role that per my resume or experience or even age, wasn't technically qualified for.
What a great example and of leadership and how
Yes.
leaders don't have all the answers and you can lead from any seat and any qualification, right? Because
Yes.
it's more of those strengths that you message. So I'm wondering if what you would define as being a leader. Being a leader to you means what?
So I would say it would be just inspiring others to reach their full potential by guiding, teaching, and supporting them every step along the way. And I think with that, I have like developed that personal side of things that, I learned very early on and kind of stand by it that your number one client is your family. And so if that number one client, I said I was calling them at 6 p.m., in this case, my family, I was being home at 6 p.m., then, we have to hold to that and stand to that. Um, and so I think, I would like to lead and be a leader in both that, show them that my personal life is still important, but that professionally I can still succeed and advance while kind of maintaining both.
Yeah, that balance or integration or whatever word we want to use to describe that personal and professional, both of those lives coming together and really being able to do both excellently and well.
Yes, I feel like it's something that all of us, everyone talks about and encourages and mentions, but I think it's a big something to say of watching your leader or your supervisor actually do it, then it makes you feel like more that you can do it also.
Absolutely, being that role model and walking the talk and helping people to see um, how they can do it as well. I
Yes.
wonder, in your career, has there been someone like that for you that you watched, that you been mentored by, and influenced your journey?
I would say, interestingly enough, in some ways, I maybe learned the opposite from people. So I would say one of my prior managers at my prior firm, who was a partner, and he just very much kind of encouraged me, like, oh, don't miss out on that personal thing, or don't do this, maybe on some of his own regrets internally.
Mm.
But I think he encouraged me on that side of like developing that personal side, but then also when I would like come to him with issues or questions, or me admitting that I have no clue what I'm doing, instead of him like taking me by the hand and saying like these are the steps you would go through, he was very like inquisitive, and just like he was more confident in me that he would have me approach things and say, well, what are your options, and kind of make me think out loud to him, and then still never give me an answer, which I would say the first 2 years working with him was very different, learning that, management or leadership style, but it very much pushed me to grow and be confident. And I think he was someone that very much kind of started in his career and went into positions that he didn't fully know, and kind of went through, kind of finding things and figuring things out and learning along the way. And then I, learned that way also.
That's amazing. Yeah. We've
Yeah.
seen our profession change so much, and in some ways, that's kind of the part of the fabric of our profession is it is constantly changing, and that's why we have um, continuous learning as part of a core tenet of our profession. As you think about the next generation of young people coming into the profession, what piece of advice would you give to a young person?
Goodness, there's probably a few. I think the biggest thing is to love what you do and find your strength and work in it. There's so many times that we feel like this is the position and we need to mold ourselves to fit that, when I think it's opposite, that this is the work that needs to be done and we need to figure out how to get that done best. Um, I think kind of along the way, especially me starting out in a smaller firm, I very quickly learned that, there are 6 different ways to do everything. They're all right. And just communicating to people how you're doing things or what your intention is or your approach really can increase efficiency and go through, because that one way that someone did it last year or someone taught you isn't always the best way. And then I would say, I think there's so much out there on being fearful that technology is going to take over our jobs or take over our lives, and that technology is should be one of our biggest partners and we should embrace it. And I always say like Chat GPT is my best intern. And like just having that partnership and like utilizing all the technology that you can is just something that is great. And I think coming from the next generation, that they should push that and encourage that, because there are some of us like we don't know all the technology that's out there. And I think they do, or they might be able to catch on to it a little bit quicker.
Absolutely. Yeah. That AI or technology is going to replace, or instead of that embracing mindset of having that really great intern, or
Yeah.
I love that you consider it an intern, right? Or a staff accountant or whatever that is. And I think that's part of the narrative in the profession that MACPA is really seeking to change, is this idea that the work that we do can be fully automated, and technology is going to take over, and instead embracing. And so one of the ways we're doing that is really digging into purpose, right? Because you can automate tasks and spreadsheets and numbers, but our profession is really one about people and purpose, and the impact that we can have through our knowledge in accounting and finance on society. And so, I wonder for you, Denise, what would you say your CPA purpose or your CPA why is, and how does that motivate you?
So I come from a family of teachers, educators, and I love my kids, but I do not have the patience for kids in a classroom. So I have, interestingly enough, kind of found my teaching and helping through my career as a CPA. So that has gone from like internally with teammates, teaching interns, even going over with people above me, how I did things, how I approach things, my thinking, but also when I was in public accounting, working with those small businesses and businesses, watching them grow and succeed and kind of walking them through the financial side of things, but also putting together business cases for them on if they were to hire another crew, how much cash flow would they need to get through, and sometimes making tough decisions. I like working through problems, figuring out how they work, and to make things more efficient. And so I think that very much went from like a why of that helping people or teaching to I don't like kids, but I'm really good at numbers. So kind of ended up, I would say I'm one of those people that just ended up in accounting and turned out that I really love it. And it worked out that I'm pretty good at it.